literally nothing better than that. Oh, so good. Well, you may have noticed that that said Friday instead of Wednesday, but that's because I've had 3 days work. So Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday I've been hanging paintings in a gallery in Fulham, which was excellent for the rapidly diminishing bank balance, but not so good for doing a vlog. So anyway, it just means that I've got 3 times as much to do today. And it's a magnificent morning. I can't tell you how happy I am to be up here. Actually, it's worked out quite well because the beginning of this week was really dreary, miserable. It was raining and it was just grey. Particularly yesterday was just grim. And so, yeah, earned some money in those 3 days, and now I get to enjoy the beautiful sunshine. And it's amazing when you come up somewhere every day, if you just have a couple of days off, because I haven't been up here in those 3 days. Mum's been coming up to look after the girls. And so much has changed. Like at this time of year, things are just growing so fast. It's amazing. We've got more beans. I'll show you the courgettes because they're really coming on. We've got a couple of patty pans too, which is really nice. The mulberry tree behind me, you probably can't see because it will be a bit silhouetted, but the mulberries are ready, like at least half of them, so it's going to be a massive mulberry picking fest today. What else has changed? There's quite a lot of redness occurring with the tomatoes, which is amazing. That tomato I just ate was a sun gold, and my mouth is basically like still tingling from the absolute joy of how good that tasted. It's been in that polytunnel over like all morning, getting nice and hot and warm, and oh god, it was amazing. Anyway, enough about the tomatoes. Things I'm going to do today, I'm going to restring some of the beans. The runner beans are really taking off on the far arch, and with all the other arches that we've had for like more than 1 year, I've sort of done extra strings up them for the extra beans to grow up, but that one that I put in this year, I haven't done the strings yet, so I'm going to string them up so there's a bit more for them to climb up. What else am I going to do? I'm going to be collecting some poppy seed because some of the poppy seed heads are starting to open up, so I'll show you those. It's going to be a lot of picking this week. We've got carrots to pick, and from where I'm sitting I can see more purple beans, which is blindingly exciting. Might have them for lunch today. Yeah, that's about where we stand. So I think probably my first job is going to be to string the beans. So I'll take you with me. Actually, scratch that. I've got my ball of string and my scissors ready, but it is just such a beautiful day. I'm going to put the kettle on, I'm going to have a cup of coffee, and I'm just going to sit here for 15 minutes before I get started and enjoy it, because I've been inside for, what, 3 days? It doesn't suit me being inside for 3 days. So I'm going to kick my shoes off and just chill out for 20 minutes. So I'll be back in a sec. Okay, enough of that. Back in action. These are the arches that I'm talking about. They're pretty flimsy. They're just made of like this hollow tube. They're the really cheap ones you can buy, and I've got them bolstered with these old bits of the polytunnel that collapsed. You can see I've still got a bit of the polytunnel attached to this one actually. But as well as having those hammered into the ground at the four corners, I've strung up like an extra line through the centre of them for the beans to climb up, which you can see this bean has taken to quite well. And this is the new one, and you can see I haven't put any string in there yet, so the beans are just going up the main poles. It's going to go across there, straight up the centre, just tied on. I'm using this pretty coarse string. The ones on the other frames have lasted sort of like 3 years now, so this is really good hemp rope. Yeah, it sort of survives all weathers. It's brilliant stuff. So with the other frames, I've put bamboo canes going across to join the two arches together on all of the cross sections, but I've actually run out of bamboo canes this year. I need to buy some more, so instead of doing the centre string between the two arches, I've done a bit of a zigzag affair instead of a straight line, which, you know, should help. And then when I get the bamboo canes in, I will do a straight line over the top. Actually, I don't know what happened to all that sunshine from this morning. It's looking a bit overcast. Do you remember when I did the bit about all the chickens and I said Fleur was a bit of an escape artist? What are you doing out here, Fleur? What? What are you doing out here? Hey? You are meant to be inside. You are. You are meant to be inside, lady girl. You are. I know you know. Okay, so these are a magnificent poppy that's been flowering for ages, and there are still a couple of buds coming underneath, but these are the poppy heads. So when the poppy first goes over, they start off green, and as they dry out, they go brown. So they're a really distinctive shape, poppy seed heads. They always look like this. They can be big, small, skinny, fat, but that little like scalloped edge underneath that ridge, that's where the seeds come out. Like this one, when they dry out and the seeds are ready, they open up. So they look a little bit like a sort of an air vent. Just, can you see where that is under there? And then when they're dry and you rattle them, you can hear them. You see this one's a bit gnarly. It's probably lost all its seed because of that break in it. But you just turn them upside down. Oh no, look, it's still got loads of seed in it. Fab. Yeah, so that's how you collect poppy seed, really. That's it. So I'm actually not going to do the seed collecting today. What are you doing, girlie? I don't have any envelopes with me, so I've got to pick some up from home. But I'll just scatter these down here. I'm sure Fleur will eat them before they get a chance to germinate. But yeah, instead of actually doing this today, I'm just going to crack on with picking the mulberries, because if you have a look at this, they are just looking phenomenal. They're huge this year. That is so good. It's like no other fruit on earth. Yeah, sorry, parakeets flying overhead. Yeah, so there's masses of these. I'm just going to pick them off. A couple of years running, we've left them on the tree a bit too long. And the thing about mulberries is part of the reason that you can't buy them in the shops like you can, say, raspberries or black currants and things, is because they collapse really fast once you've picked them off. They just squash loads when you're picking them.
Oi, look at that one.
You've got to be really super delicate. That's why you don't see too much of them. Like you see mulberry jam and stuff where they can be processed, but not just as plain fruits. And a couple of years running, we've left them on the tree too long, and they've just started to mush, and then you actually can't pick them because they don't fall off, they just mush in your hand. So this year we're on it, and this is the first wave that have become ready. So we're just probably going to do this every couple of days for a couple of weeks, and we'll be good. I'm also going to take some basil home with me today. These are looking really, really lush. Somebody has been eating them. You can see someone's taken a bite out of that leaf. But they're so soft and lush, they're absolutely perfect. That will be a bit of basil pesto, I think, when I get home for lunch. We've also got plenty tomatoes on the go now. This is garnet. I picked a couple of these last week, you probably remember. Really, really tasty tomato. They're kind of red on the bottom and with like a greeny brown tinge on top. Really nice. Yeah, so morning, I have brought my envelopes with me today. I remembered them. So I'm just going to label these up before I put the seed in them. Oh, actually, there's more than one type of poppy. So these are the op poppies, and there's also some really, really tiny poppies out there. I'm also going to collect the seed from the toad flax, which is the one that's round the side of the pond, and some nigella seed. Just going to pick the brown ones, the ones that are open. And it's really dead simple. You just tip them straight in. I don't know if you'll be able to see this. So poppy seeds are really lovely because not only am I going to save them, obviously, for sowing more poppies next year, I'll scatter them around, but they're also obviously edible. So this is what that poppy looks like. It's one of these, except it's a mauve version of this, the one that's over that other side. And this is the toad flax, the one that's around the side of the pond. Can you see the little black dots? So the ones at the bottom of each stem are drier than the ones at the top, but I'm just going to pick the whole stem rather than trying to pick off the individuals, because it's these little bells. Can you see? Can you see that one? And then you just crush them and the seed comes out. But I'm not going to go around picking the individual ones off. I'm just going to take the stem, fold them up inside my envelope, and then I'll sort them out afterwards. You've got to be careful when you're getting them in the envelope that you don't ping them against the side, because the moment you do that, all the seed flies everywhere and you don't get any. Now this is the nigella. They look like sort of aliens. They're really beautiful. In fact, I quite like the seed pods more than the main flowers, which are these. They're also called Love in the Mist. They self-seed like crazy all over the allotment. This is it, sort of halfway between the two. And these have got a much larger seed than the other two that we've done. So you can see they're like these velvety black seeds inside. Really nice looking seed. And again, I'm not going to try and open these up. I'm just going to stuff the heads straight into the envelope and sort them out later. And this is a different poppy. This is a seed head from one of these guys. Really super delicate. So how I'm going to sort this out is just by putting them out on this piece of paper to kind of sort through the seed from the chaff. I'm just going to turn the edges up so that the seed doesn't all just roll off the side onto the floor of the shed. So this is the nigella. You can see it's got quite large seeds, and I'm just going to scrunch up the seed heads and all the seed will fall out, and then I'll just pick out the worst of it and put them back in the envelope. I'm not worried about it having all the other stuff in it. It's not going to do it any harm. And when I sew it, I'm just going to be scattering it. So all of that chaff isn't going to make any difference whatsoever. Folding the piece of paper up like that really helps as well, because it gives you a bit of a funnel shape to get it back into the envelope. So that is the nigella. I'll be collecting loads more of this throughout the year. And this is the toe flax. You can see a lot of the seed has actually fallen out of the pods while it's been in the envelope. But I'm just going to crush. So the newer flowers, so the ones at the very tips, are still green and they're not ready to be de-seeded. But the lower ones, I'm just crushing each individual pod. And like with the nigella, I don't mind if there's a bit of crap in with it. Doesn't matter. I'm only going to be like broadcasting it, so it's not a problem. And again, back into the envelope, and wait till the spring to sew those.
Oh! Wowee! Some big boys in there.
So this is the first of our second earlies. This is a potato called Kestrel, which is a real lovely one. It's got these fab pink eyes. It's the opposite to Apache. So Apache's a red potato that we're also growing with white eyes, and this one's yellow with pink eyes. Really, really nice fluffy potato, this one. Makes great chips. So we're going to have potato for lunch, probably jacket potato, and some purple beans. These were really slow to get started this year, they really were, but they're going now, so better late than never. This is an advantage of growing the beans up the arch. When you grow them in a cone shape so that they're going inwards, the beans hang inside and they're quite difficult to get to, but over an arch they're hanging down exactly where you want to be harvesting them from. So that's a good handful, that'll do us for lunch. And of course it's that time of year now, so every day is a tomato picking day. You can see how much redder these are from yesterday. This is the same truss I was picking from yesterday. Yeah, there's another 6 basically ready that weren't yesterday, so that's pretty exciting. And things really are starting to turn red in here. You can see sort of glimpses of pink and orange and all sorts, which is pretty damn exciting. This one's the Derby Stripe, and that one down there is Pink Plum, which is a gorgeous tomato. I'm so looking forward to that. I'll take one of them because that's looking beautiful. And the ever-reliable Sun Gold. Such a great tomato. Always the first one to ripen.
And there's one in the greenhouse, remember, too. Oh, look at those, don't they look lovely?
They look gorgeous. This is just a little corner of heaven in here. I love it. If it wasn't so hot and sweaty, I'd sit in here and read. It is Sunday early evening and I've been working again today, so I've just nipped up to the allotment on my way home and I'm going to do a bit of picking for dinner, and 2 quite exciting things actually. Firstly, I'm going to pick a load of the tree spinach, which I'm going to use it as an opportunity to give it a bit of a prune because it's getting a bit wild, and also an aubergine, the first aubergine of the year. Quite excited about that. So yeah, let's go and have a look. Sorry about the slightly shaky camera. I don't have a tripod or anything with me. I'm just using my phone. So yeah, unprepared on my way home from work, but never mind. Okay, into the jungle. It's got a bit OTT in here, to be honest. But lurking in the back here is an aubergine. a black beauty aubergine in fact, and it is an absolute black beauty.
Oh, lovely.
So this is the tree spinach. I've got 2 sets of 5 plants. This is the one that was planted in the sunshine, so this has been full sun, and you can see it's a little bit gnarly. So it's got black fly, and it's very, very tall, and the leaves are a little bit on the leathery side. And these are the 5 plants that I've had growing in the shade. So they were planted at the same time. You can see the difference in size. Also got a couple of courgettes to take home today. Some little mini ones. These are all green bush. Really nice, compact little plant. Well, it really is the most phenomenal pleasure to be able to do that. To just whiz over to the allotment, pick up something for dinner. Yeah, I think it's what makes it really, isn't it? So I've picked that tree spinach, which is one of the vegetables actually that every year we try something that we haven't tried before, something a bit new. Sometimes they're a bit unusual, and sometimes they're just something we've never tried before. Last year we tried asparagus peas. We won't be trying them again, I can tell you that much. It's like chewing astringent cardboard. Didn't matter if you picked them small or big or microscopic or cooked them or whatever. I just thought they were really unpleasant. Having said that, the flowers were really beautiful. So we do have some seed left over, so we might actually just sow them and have them in the wildflower bit, which might be quite nice. But anyway, I'm being distracted. So tree spinach. The difference in so this is what I picked from the shaded bed, which were the much smaller plants. I mean, it's pretty lush. They're yeah, there's very few black fly on them, and the leaves are really, really soft. So this is sort of the maximum stem size. They're still quite flexible. This is the shady one. If you contrast that with the sunshine bed, and this is just my clippings. Like, this is left half the plant on, half the height. The stems on these are massive and rock solid. And also, they've had a lot more problems with black fly than the ones in the shaded area. You can see there's sort of quite a bit on the back. I don't know whether it's better to grow, to just grow more plants, but in the shade. But regardless, this is a real winner, this. So it's called tree spinach, but it's not actually a spinach, obviously, as you can see. And when you cook it, the leaves do wilt down like a spinach does, but it doesn't really have that kind of irony taste that spinach or, say, a chard has. It's got a really lemony taste. So, you know, with sorrel, so sorrel, when you eat that raw, is a real powerful zing. It's really, really lemony. But when you cook it, that kind of fades away. With this, it's the opposite way round. These leaves just taste like grass. There's no flavour in them whatsoever raw. I was told you could put them in salad, but that was a complete waste. You may as well have just put grass clippings in. Apart from the pink looked pretty. But when you cook them down, they have a really strong lemony taste, and they just go brilliantly with anything that's quite highly spiced. So anything with kind of Indian flavours or anything from the Middle East, any of that kind of thing. It's an absolute winner. I absolutely love it. So tonight I'm just going to be doing it with the aubergine that we just picked, and chickpeas, tomatoes, with quite a lot of mint and cinnamon, and making a bit of a stew with these spinach leaves, which is delicious just to have with rice. Really, really nice. But yeah, first thing I have to do is give it a really good rinse, because like I say, there is quite a bit of black fly on there. So I filled my sink up with water, and I'm just going to put a bit of salt in there. This is something, as a kid, my mum and dad used to grow a lot of curly kale, and the horror, the absolute horror that I still can remember of finding boiled caterpillars inside your curly kale when it was on your plate. It's a wonder I grow veg at all. It was traumatizing. But yeah, so a discovery that I've made later on in life is that if you put a bit of salt in the water that you are rinsing your veg in, most things will let go. So where the caterpillars are holding on really tight to your cabbage or whatever it is, your kale, when you put it in the salt water, they tend to let go, so you see them all just sort of float away, which gives you just a little tiny bit more reassurance that there's not going to be anything big and dead in your dinner. So anyway, I'm just going to rinse these off now. So like you saw, those stems are really tough. So I'm just going to get rid of all the stems, pick off the leaves. Don't have to stem each individual leaf, it's just the main stems that are tough. So that's all I'm going to do with them, and get rid of any gnarly. I've got so much here, I don't really need to save it. But what I am going to do is blanch the whole lot and then freeze half of it. It doesn't wilt like spinach does normally, like it doesn't just disappear to nothing. Once you've blanched it, put it in a colander or whatever and let it cool, and then bag it up once it's cold. You don't have to squeeze it like you do normal spinach. You just bag it up, freeze it, and then it's good to go next time. But that is a beautiful bowl of tree spinach. It's Monday morning and mulberry picking time again. This is going to be a constant job, sort of every couple of days for at least 2 weeks, but I'm not complaining. Another load. And the only other thing I've got to do today is a bit of picking. We've got one rogue tomato in the greenhouse. This one.
Right, that's dinner. Is there any more on the outside one? 2 cucumbers there too, but you need something to...
I need clippies for them.
Right. Can we get them?
Oh, I've just seen a massive melon, Mum. It's huge. How did we miss it? It snuck up on us. Couple of lovely cucumbers.
Lovely.
And that was Pissandra, and these are crystal lemon.
It's a bit of size, yes.
monster carrot with a svelte little waist. Also a bit of beetroot. This one is a solo. This one is a one of the mixed candy. And that one's a Bolt Hardy. 3 beautiful beetroot. Well, that's it for another week. I'm going to have to make this bit really short because despite only having 3 days of the week, the video seems to be really long. So I don't really have any time for a bit of chat at the end. Back to normal next week. It was only temporary employment, it was a one-off thing. So I'm back doing full week next week. I promise not to do a whole video on mulberry picking. Just 30 minutes of me in the tree. I do understand that's not very exciting. So I'm just going to say cheers really. I hope you've all had a good week. If you enjoyed it, please give me a thumbs up, and if you haven't subscribed already, I'd really appreciate you subscribing. And I will see you over on Instagram in the meantime. But if not, I'll see you next week. Cheers.